this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host. My guest this evening is Corianne Gagliardi from the Lupus Foundation America Connecticut chapter. Corianne, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Good. Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about who is Corianne Gagliardi and what does she do for the organization?
Corianne Gagliardi is the Director of Development and Communications.
Okay.
So it's a really fancy title to say I do a whole lot of stuff for the state of Connecticut when it comes to lupus awareness. Our chapter is based out of Farmington in the Exchange building right now.
Okay.
So even though we're down there, we have the entire area of the, every little county, every little town of the whole state of Connecticut. So my job is to really advocate and spread awareness for all of those patients that necessarily can't do it for themselves and make sure that they're finding the support and services that they need.
How long have you been with the organization?
Just about 8 years.
You like it?
A long time. I love it.
Do you?
Yep. I get to say I love coming to work every day. Not many people get to say that.
I'm sure you love the traveling too.
Oh, the traveling's great. A lot of miles on my car.
There you go, there you go. So I was wondering, maybe we can talk a little bit about what is lupus?
Well, lupus in really simple terms is an autoimmune disease, which is chronic, so people have it for their entire lives. You can't get cured of lupus. And your body thinks that your joints, organs, or skin, any combination of them, are an infection, so it fights against itself.
Okay.
So, for example, if it's trying to target your kidneys, it's trying to shut down your kidneys.
Right.
It's saying your kidneys are an infection and they're bad. In reality, they're your kidneys. You need your kidneys.
Right.
So it's a very complicated disease because you cannot, it's not apparent on the outside. People don't know that you're sick. Right. And it's very hard to diagnose because the spectrum is so large of what you can have multiple layers. So you can have it in your joints and your skin. You can have it in just your kidneys. So no two patients are ever going to be the same. And that creates a lot of problems when it comes to diagnosing or saying this is lupus or this is not lupus. Right.
Now, let's talk about diagnosis. How does one find out that they have lupus, and what is the diagnosis or treatment that?
Well, most cases take about 10 years on average to get diagnosed just because of how wide-ranged it is. But there are blood tests that you have to hit certain markers on the blood test. And the issue with that becomes that you can hit some of them and not all of them. And lupus is a disease of flares. So if you're flaring, you're probably going to hit all of them. But that also means you're in a lot more trouble than someone who's not flaring. Okay. So we're not all the way there yet. We have a lot to learn, a lot to discover about finding it and catching it earlier. Because obviously the earlier you get diagnosed, the better your treatment is going to be. And I say that because the treatments right now that we have for lupus, we only have one lupus medication that's made specifically for lupus. Okay. But only a small fraction of the spectrum of patients can be on that one medication. Okay. So a lot of the other patients, we take medications and we borrow them from other diseases, like prednisone, antimalarial drugs, chemotherapy. So a lot of things that you hear for a lot of other diseases, we're using to put a Band-Aid on a really big problem.
Now, is there a cure for lupus?
There is no cure.
Really?
And I think that the day that it comes to find a cure, it's going to be cures because of the spectrum. Right. There's not going to be one thing or one medication that's going to fix everybody.
And just by looking at my notes from the show, let's talk a little bit about the personal aspect of lupus and how it affects family members, friends, loved ones.
Lupus really impacts people's lives, and I don't think that enough awareness around that is established because it's not just the one patient that has lupus. And saying that someone has lupus, they're going to look fine on the outside. So they can be having the worst day of their life and be in so much pain and really trying to push through. And unless you're experiencing that pain or really understand it, right, your family and friends aren't going to be able to connect with that. You're going to become very isolated. You're going to become very alone because you have this pain and this disease that you're trying so hard to fight and beat, and yet everyone around you doesn't understand it.
And from what I understand, I guess your mom has lupus?
She does.
How's she doing?
She has her good days and bad days. Good. And I think that's how lupus is. It really depends on which day you're given.
I know, as far as the personal aspect of things, my aunt also has lupus and my grandmother died of lupus.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
10 years ago, so it's a very nasty disease, and it can affect a lot of people that you care about and love.
It really can, and the impact is detrimental.
Yeah. Now, as far as the organization, what types of information can people find on the website?
All sorts of things. We have research, we have updates, any of our events that are coming up.
Okay.
Everything like that is right on our website. So I encourage everyone to go check that out and see what we have coming up around you.
Okay.
We have stuff all over the state, so there's always something.
And from what a little birdie told me in doing research, something about the month of May.
May is a very important month for lupus. It is Lupus Awareness Month,
All right.
which means that we just like to see purple everywhere. If we can decorate the whole state in purple, I'd love to see that someday.
I was going to say, tonight I'm wearing the wrong color.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right.
But yeah, it's just getting out there and really spreading the awareness and being advocates to say this is what lupus is and why people need to pay attention to it.
Now, as far as advocating for lupus, what can people do to get the word spread?
There's so many things. I really encourage people to get involved with us. We have so many different opportunities. We go to the Capitol, we go to the National Capitol. We have a bill in Connecticut. We wrote another one that's in Rhode Island. So we have a lot of different avenues to get involved and really help us preach what this disease really, truly means to someone with lupus. I'm always looking for personal stories. I'm always looking for patients that, are open to telling the world what happened and what's going on and how it impacted their life. Because those are the stories that people need to hear. That's the truth that needs to be known to everybody.
Now, as far as you mentioned that there's a bill up at the state capitol that mentions or benefits lupus. Tell us a little bit about the bill.
Sure. So we passed a bill in 2011.
Yeah.
There's only 6 of these lupus bills in the whole nation, and Connecticut was able to pass 2 of them. So I feel very honored and special that we have 2.
All right.
We did one here and one in Rhode Island, like I said, because we're the closest chapter pretty much in this corner of the nation.
Okay.
So, but the bill focuses on patients. It focuses on the need and the gap between the patient and the physician. So we've been doing a lot of research, a lot of different pieces to kind of gap that together.
Sure.
So we did a survey last year, and we really talked to a lot of patients, and we talked to a lot of physicians in different specialties. Rheumatologists are one of the most common specialty doctors for a lupus patient. So we surveyed them, and we found out a lot of information, different things that the doctors believe that they're giving to the patient, and the miscommunication between the patient and the physician. And so it's great to see both sides of that and figure out how, as a foundation, we can really step forward and say, this is what you guys are both talking about. We want to, get in the middle there and help. So we've completely launched a community outreach campaign to try to close that gap and make sure that the patients are receiving all the materials that they need. And alternative health is a great, great resource. And not a lot of patients know significant information about how alternative health would help them.
Okay.
So we really try to push that too.
Now how is the information reaching the people and as far as getting the word spread? Is it going pretty well?
It's going pretty well.
Good.
I mean, Connecticut, even though it's a small state, there's a lot of ground to cover. So
Sure.
it's a lot of work.
Sure.
But we're getting there.
Now, as far as events go, I know that you recently had one recently, but are there other events, major events that you guys have throughout the year? Maybe something in the fall, something in the spring?
We have so many events, really almost one per calendar month. So in that time, it's between now and then, we have walkathons, we have
Okay.
a run of the weekend of Thanksgiving. We just have so many things, a symposium, so anyone who's looking to learn more information or get more education about lupus, it's a free seminar, come to it. So we have a lot of exciting
You just
things
stole my
coming.
question. I was going to say, what's a symposium?
So we do a whole day.
Okay.
We serve breakfast and lunch. Anyone is welcome to come. You just have to register. And we do a whole panel of physicians, so you can learn different questions. Dermatologists, rheumatologists, psychologists, you name it, we have a panel. So you can go and ask the docs. That's the series. And then on the other half of the conference, we have a whole bunch of different alternative health remedies. So things that might help ease if your lupus is in your joints. Maybe a chiropractor or massage therapist might be able to help you out more, and essential oils. We just try to offer as many possible things as we can, because if it's going to help a patient, then it makes me happy that I've done something good that day.
Exactly. And like you said, you guys reached the whole state of Connecticut.
Yes.
So you've got 169 towns to reach and cover and conquer, which I'm sure is pretty draining on you, but you must love what you're doing.
I really love what I'm doing. I get to come to work every day and be really excited that it's a new day, it's a new speech I can give to someone, or I talk to everyone about lupus. I'm pretty sure all of my friends are very sick of hearing about it. So everywhere we go, it doesn't matter if I'm on a plane in Aruba or if I'm local, I'm making sure everyone knows about lupus.
I was going to say, speaking of friends, what my viewing audience and my listening audience doesn't know is we have somebody in studio with us tonight. Who is it?
I have one of my fellow coworkers, Michelle.
Okay.
So she's hanging out with us tonight. She's been a great asset to our team. We're very lucky to have her.
What does she do?
She is our community program coordinator. So she brings together pieces of different organizations and how we can connect with them. So benefit us and them at the same time and really make better programs in the state. So it's not just about lupus, it's about really bringing people together.
And how's the program running so far? Pretty
well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that she's been very busy, so I think that that's a good thing.
You're shaking your head yes, right?
Yeah.
All right. And as far as the aspect of the organization, as far as the website goes, what other information can people find on the site?
So any new research, we're attached to a national organization,
Okay.
so we get fed a lot of stuff down the line of what's going on, any new discoveries, any new medicines. So that's very important to know.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else. We have so much stuff on there. There's stuff about our bill, if we have upcoming meetings.
Okay.
There's social media links if you want to follow us on anything like that. So.
Now, as far as if people want to get involved with the organization, help out at an event, or maybe volunteer at an event, or go for a walk, hang out with the symposium for the day, how can they get more information on upcoming events?
That is all on the website.
All right.
My email is actually on there too, and our phone number. So feel free to call the office, email me, email the office. If you want to volunteer, we love volunteers.
I was going to say.
They're very important to us.
Exactly.
We are 100% donor driven, so we are independently run by all the help that we get from everyone here.
You're independently run by money.
Yes, well, by individual donors.
Right.
I think that that's important to
Right.
say, because it's true.
is.
Every penny counts to us.
It does.
Really does make a difference.
And every penny does count to you guys.
Yes.
As far as I guess there's a walk coming up in September. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about the walk before we go into the break?
Sure. The walk is along Savin Rock Beach in West Haven. It's beautiful. And we chose that specifically because lupus patients can't be out in the sun too long.
Right.
So pretty much the summer months are off limits, and individuals who love the beach, they kind of got robbed of that when they got diagnosed with lupus, and I don't want that to be the case.
Okay.
So I brought the walk to the beach because in September, everyone's in hoodies and everyone's in pants.
There you go.
We all get to enjoy it together and have a really good time.
All right. Corey and Gagliardi, would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, we'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host, sitting here with Corey Ann Gagliardi from the American Lupus Foundation Connecticut chapter. Welcome back.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for sticking around.
Oh yeah, I didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, me either. Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Yep.
So, as far as diagnosis for lupus, and I know we talked a little bit about this during the first segment, maybe we can get a little bit into more detail for the second segment. How is lupus diagnosed?
It's through a blood test, and there's different markers in that blood test that signal this is lupus. And I think you need to have a conjunction of, I think it's 5.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure it's 5 different levels of that. The issue with diagnosis is that So lupus is genetic, and as I said before, it runs in my family.
Right, runs
Now
in
I can go get this test done, and it could tell me, I might have the gene for lupus. It could tell me that I don't, but it can't tell me if it's going to become active. It can't tell me if I'm ever going to become sick.
Right.
It can't tell me if I'm ever going to pass the gene. So a personal choice of mine was I didn't want to know until or if I ever get sick.
Right.
But that's the issue too. We can't pre-warn people. We can't, prevent it or try to help beforehand before they get very ill or before it attacks their organs or any major organ involvement. That's where we want to get to earlier diagnosis, but it makes it very difficult because if you're not flaring,
Right.
you're probably not going to hit all the 5 markers.
Exactly. Now, how do you figure out if you have lupus? How do you figure out if you have lupus? You don't just wake up and say, "Oh, I have lupus
today."
Right. Exactly.
No, you don't do that. I don't think so. I don't think your mind goes right to that option.
No, definitely not.
I think it's really a rule-out game, to be honest. I think they'll test you for lots of other things because it mimics so many other diseases. It can mimic MS, it can mimic Crohn's, it can mimic Lyme disease. Is very common to be misdiagnosed with Lyme disease. And a lot of our patients have been treated for other diseases and then just to find out a couple of years later it was lupus the whole time.
Really?
So that's why the whole 10-year gap of getting diagnosed, we want to close that. We want to we want to close that up.
Sure. Now, as far as what else would you like to tell our viewers and our listeners about lupus?
I just want them to know how many people are truly affected by it.
Okay.
I know that I mentioned like the families and the supporters and everyone around you, but we're estimating around 17,000 people in Connecticut alone with lupus. That's a significant number to not really have the awareness around it and the education around it to say, wow, I can't believe that many.
Okay.
And to be completely honest, those are based off census numbers. So in the last census was done in 2010, and I'm assuming that number has gone up significantly. Going out and meeting people, they're always like, I have lupus, my daughter has lupus, my grandmother has lupus,
Right.
my aunt, my sister. As it's 90% more prevalent in women, I hear a lot more females with it. However, I do know lots of men as well, so I mean, it can only go so far. But there's so many people that need this awareness and need advocates for them that I want people to wake up. I want them to understand it's a real disease, it's a real problem. 17,000 people, that's just so many.
Right.
So many that need help that aren't getting that attention that they deserve.
I was going to say 17,000. Is that in the country or is it in the state of Connecticut?
That's in the state of Connecticut. There's 1.5 million in the nation.
Holy cow.
And 5
really?
million worldwide. That's so many
Are you
people.
kidding me?
No.
Holy cow.
It's a lot, right?
That is a lot of people.
And then to not know about it, it's just mind-boggling to me. So I make sure everywhere I go, like I said,
Exactly.
they hear me.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I educate one person a day. Imagine the impact I'm making.
There you go. And now you and I are educating
Hopefully
a lot of
lots
people.
and lots
I was
of
going to say
people.
lots and lots of people between my viewers, my listeners. And as far as, I didn't know the number in Connecticut was that astounding as far as people that are. Now, obviously, we hope that number goes down.
Correct.
But then there's probably a pretty good aspect of things that number also could go up.
Correct. I think, if we get better at diagnosing it earlier, we might have more diagnoses than we do right now, but that might be a good thing in a sense that we can treat them earlier. We can make sure that they're getting the right treatment and, live a better quality of life. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, to make sure that the patient has the best quality of life possible.
Right.
Lupus robs you of a lot of things, and that breaks my heart to watch. I've met so many people that can't do things that they used to, and if I can give them pieces of that back and get them back to where they were before the disease, that's my goal.
Now, as far as some of the things that lupus robs people of, what are they?
The ability to want to do things that they used to do.
Okay.
Like I said, the beach, they can't go to the beach. So if someone loves the beach in the sun and going on vacation in the sun, it's just, you can't really do those things anymore.
No.
And that's not fair. And I want them to do those things. I want them to go to the beach. I want them to live their life. And I want us to get to a point where, having lupus as a diagnosis doesn't limit you in your day-to-day activities.
Exactly.
And it can affect you in several ways that people don't even, things we take for granted. Lupus in the joints can be so severe that buttoning a t-shirt can be so painful for someone with lupus. And I mean, we take that for,
Right.
5 seconds and then we're out the door. But getting out of bed, taking a shower, making a pot of coffee, there's so many things that take so much extra effort that we just take for granted.
Right.
And I think that changes their life dramatically, and people don't see that because, again, they appear okay. They appear fine.
Now, as far as the personal connection is as well, I know we talked about that during the first segment. Let's talk about it again for everybody that are just joining us. I guess your mom has lupus?
My mom has lupus, yep.
How is she?
She's hanging in. I think that it's a day-to-day disease, so she can have a really good day or a good couple days and have really bad days. So I think that goes along with any lupus patient, and the more and more I've met, it's amazing how strong all of them are. My mom included, but not limited to. It's amazing to meet everyone fighting this disease.
And as far as what people can find on the website, what can they find on the website as far as?
They can find research, like I was saying, because we're a program that does 3 different prongs. We do research, advocacy, and support.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a support group in your area, if you're looking ways to get involved, whether it's volunteering, interning, anything, that's on there. And then any new up-to-date research is also on that site.
Okay. And as far as also if people want to volunteer, they can go to that site as well and find all sorts of cool contact information.
All sorts of cool stuff. lupusct.org. It's very easy to remember.
It is very easy to remember. And speaking of very cool and something coming up, somebody was telling me about the month of May.
The month of May is very special to everyone with lupus because that's the month we celebrate. We preach and preach and preach and get lupus awareness out there. Purple everywhere. We try to light up a lot of pieces of Hartford and surrounding areas to make sure everyone sees purple, purple, purple.
And Lupus Month is every May?
Every May.
Every May, every year?
Every year. World Lupus Day is the 10th, I believe, every single year. So that's a holiday for us.
I was going to say, that's probably a busy day for you because I know, that, as you and I know we've been going back and forth for days trying to get in touch with each other. It's like, man.
I'm sorry, they have me everywhere.
She's tough to get a hold of, for God's sakes. But that's okay because you're out spreading the good word on lupus. I'm out spreading the good word doing my thing. It's
so many good things.
I know. It's
helping people like me out, making sure that everyone can hear about these things. That's very important.
Exactly. Now, as far as treatment for lupus, is there one? Is there a medication? Is there?
We borrow. I want to say that lightly.
Let's borrow it. Okay.
Yeah, we borrow. I mean, I've known so many patients on like antimalarial drugs. Plaquenil is one of them.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're not going to say, I have lupus and I'm taking an antimalarial drug. That, we need to get to lupus drugs. We need to get to those medications where they're directly helping lupus patients.
Now, as far as a lupus drug to help people that are affected with lupus, is there such?
We have one. It's called Benlysta.
Okay.
It came out, I want to say around 2011, and it's shown significant strides for the patients that have been able to use it. I say patients that have been able to because only to be selected and fall within a certain group to use it. But it's been great for those patients. So I want to make 30,000 Benlystas to make sure we fix all patients.
Exactly.
We're getting closer. Research is getting there. We do have a local lab in the state, which is really cool about lupus research at Yale. So any new advancements are exciting.
Now, as far as the lupus drug goes, is it a shot? Is it an oral Is it an oral drug? Is it?
I think it's almost administered just like chemo, and I don't mean that to scare anyone.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So
but it's
a treatment drug.
Yes.
Okay.
I know a lot of patients that had a lot of trouble. They've went through all the other medications, and then they've been put on Benlysta and had huge success. So.
Now, what are some of and we didn't talk about this during the first segment, I don't know why, but we'll talk about it now. What are some of the side effects that people that have lupus? Can you lose your hair? Can you? You can. You can absolutely lose your hair. A lot of the medications make you put on a lot of weight. Okay.
Prednisone, which is a steroid, can make you blow up pretty significantly.
Oh, yeah.
So lupus patients are often known for having the moon face, which I think is a horrible way to reference it. But that medication's keeping them alive, so it's very important to do that. Swelling, there's rashes if you have lupus in the skin. Joint pain, obviously you can't see. it varies patient to patient, to be completely honest. So
Now, now you just mentioned lupus in the skin. People can get, what are the different versions of lupus that people can get?
you can get it in your skin, your organs, your joints. You can get multiple layers of that. So you can, it doesn't limit itself. I hate to say that.
All right.
Just
Now
because you
you're
have it in one area doesn't mean you won't get it into another. But at the same time, just because you got it in one doesn't mean you'll get it in multiple.
Sure.
So lupus in the skin, you get this thing called a butterfly rash, and it's the most apparent one. However, that one's the easiest one to spot. Oh my goodness, that looks like a lupus rash.
Right.
So your diagnosis might be a lot quicker than someone who has it internally, where you can't necessarily pinpoint exactly what's causing the issue for you.
Now, if you get the lupus rash and you're diagnosed with it, what's the next step? You go to the doctor, they put you on medication, and
I think each patient is so different. It's hard to say. You definitely are going to find yourself a new specialty doctor. If it's a rheumatologist, if it's dermatologist, you're going to have a team of people working together to make sure that you're getting the best care possible.
And
so that's the most important thing.
Obviously, that's doable because once you catch it and figure out, oh, I've got it. If you catch it if you catch it early, there's pretty much a pretty good chance you're going to be able to have it cured.
Not cured, treated. Definitely treated,
Okay,
not cured.
no,
Yeah, you'll never be cured. You'll have it for your whole life. It's as it is chronic, but you can, get a lot of your life back if it's early diagnosed, if your treatments are, under control. So there's a lot of things you can do to step forward and, make sure you're getting the best advice and the best care possible.
And like we said, we're about to say goodnight for this edition, but before we leave, I'm going to thank you for hanging out with me, but hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
And for those of our viewers and listeners that are just joining us, before we say goodnight, we want to mention again the month of May. Which is?
Lupus Awareness Month. Very special.
And so people have to wear...
Purple.
I was going to say, what color?
Purple, purple, purple.
So the whole month is around the color of purple. And
correct.
Lupus Awareness Month is May every year.
Every year.
Now, do we have a Lupus Awareness Day during the month?
We have World Lupus Day on the 10th every year.
Okay.
And then we also have a Put on Purple Day, and that fluctuates.
I was going to say, we'll talk about that maybe during the next show, because we have about 10 seconds before we say goodnight. So I'm going to thank you, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
On behalf of Corianne, I'm Pete. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next week.